Hi, welcome back to 60 Seconds of Property. Coach Jason. If it's your first time, this is just me talking about property for 60 seconds. Today I'm going to talk about how to sell a property. Now, it's not something you'll often hear from my mouth. I mean, I'm not an advocate of trading. Media loves sensationalizing trading. You know, people that buy, do up and sell and make a huge profit. But they'll pick up on that one story where somebody's done particularly well. It's a little bit like that lotto win. Now, the only time I believe that it's okay to sell a property is if you are upgrading a property. And sometimes we do that in our portfolio. You know, some of the properties that we start with at the beginning are not the properties that we will continue to keep as we progress in our journey. So it's okay to upgrade a property. Now, some of the things to consider is get yourself a pre-approval for selling. It's often assumed that if we sell a property, we pay back what we owe and that what's left over we can keep for ourselves. Now, it's not always the case because you may have other lending with the bank and you don't want that profit to be absorbed by other lending. So all it takes is a phone call to the bank to say, hey, look, I'm looking at selling a property. If I do that, after I pay the mortgage back, are those funds available to me? And if the answer is yes, then get that in writing so that you've got that as a pre-approval for selling. Now, when you do sell a property, we always expect that we're going to get a much higher number than we actually do. You know, selling is just like anything else. It's a willing buyer and it's a willing seller. And we always have the number in our head of like, yeah, let's make sure we get maximum dollars for our property. Now, that's always going to be the goal, but you've got to make sure that you do have that number and then you have a grumpy number. Now, that grumpy number is what is the minimum number that you would not accept an offer below. So that way, you set yourself some boundaries because it's going to be highly emotional as you get lowballed, as you get the agent pushing you to accept an offer. So by having these numbers, you set yourself the parameters. There's also a few other things that you need to set up for yourself as well in terms of making sure that you've got a buffer and a time frame, because whilst you're selling a property, more times than not, it's going to be vacant. So you've got to cover the mortgage and staging costs during that time. So you've got to make sure that you have some buffer to give yourself some breathing space so you don't get too emotional in the process and make a rash decision and accept something that you're not normally accepting. So I hope those tips help. If you've got some tips for selling as well, pop them into the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in and we'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.